Sunny Hostin, her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit. Okay, now let's read this. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases. Wow.
What's the criminal trial? The fact that he was not found guilty.
Oh,
yes.
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin.
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb.
You know, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, you know, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life.
Show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah,
undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, you know, it's interesting because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
You know, it's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, who are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart, but captured.
Sure, I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course.
You know.
They do everything with an agenda.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan never holds back. And this time, his target is none other than Sunny Hostin of The View. With her husband allegedly entangled in a $450 million RICO fraud scandal, Rogan doesn't just comment, he goes in hard. While Sunny often positions herself as the voice of morality and reason on daytime TV, Rogan exposes the double standards and hidden truths behind the polished smiles. From elite hypocrisy to looming bankruptcy, this scandal is making waves. Today, we break down every detail you need to know: how Joe Rogan took aim, what this means for Sunny, and how the court of public opinion is reacting.
Interesting, because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
You know, it's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, who are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart, but captured.
Joe Rogan didn't mince words when he addressed Sunny Hostin's recent controversy. Known for her self-righteous persona on The View, Sunny often critiques others' lifestyles, beliefs, and political affiliations. But Rogan called out what he sees as hypocrisy: how someone so vocal about ethics and fairness could remain silent while facing a massive scandal at home. He argued that her moral superiority quickly crumbles when real accountability knocks at her door. According to Rogan, public figures who consistently preach from a high horse owe the public transparency, especially when embroiled in legal messes themselves. His critique struck a chord with viewers already skeptical of mainstream media personalities and their double standards.
If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. Let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures, and look at her track record. How many times has she had to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for all the stuff that she said on the show? And then she also, on Trump's win, calling the loss because of uneducated white women that Trump won.
We have to know that. This is accused.
All accused. Yeah, all accused, but he's in the RICO. This is a big RICO case that her husband's in.
Emmanuel Hostin, Sunny's husband and an orthopedic surgeon, has been linked to a federal investigation involving a $450 million RICO fraud scheme. The charges revolve around fraudulent medical billing practices and racketeering, suggesting systematic deception across a wide network. If proven true, this isn't a minor infraction. It's a major financial crime that implicates not just doctors, but possibly other stakeholders in the medical industry. Sunny, though not directly named in the legal documents, is certainly affected by the scandal. This raises serious questions. What did she know, and when did she know it? As Rogan pointed out, silence in the face of such serious allegations feels like complicity, or at the very least, intentional ignorance.
I get it. I also hate Joy Behar, so I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird, so I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show, if the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of, like, there are so many brilliant women out there, none of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome?
No, double
The
X.
Okay.
Double X.
They brought in the lowest of the double X's for that one. It's rough.
Rogan didn't stop at Sunny. He took broader aim at The View's panel, accusing them of elitism and intellectual arrogance. According to him, the co-hosts speak as if they're the final authority on every social and political issue. But the moment real controversy hits one of their own, there's silence or spin. Rogan pointed out how the show often judges others with harsh rhetoric, yet rarely applies that same scrutiny inward. His comments weren't just personal, they were a scathing critique of how mainstream daytime TV operates, presenting curated opinions as moral truths while covering up inconvenient facts. This kind of call-out resonates with audiences tired of media hypocrisy and selective outrage.
Hey, this is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double-checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest fucking statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't believe
the other
Joey
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
weigh-
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant reptiles. And then there's also, listen,
It doesn't make sense to me
There-
that a middle-aged woman could be dumb.
when you're worried about losing your job and
Yeah.
you're worried about podcasts taking over and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us and he won, and this is fucking great, and Joe Rogan believes in dragons. It's just frantic.
As the legal storm intensifies, there's growing speculation that Sunny Hostin may be staring down financial ruin. With lawsuits, legal representation, potential asset seizures, and the sheer scale of the RICO charges, the costs could be astronomical. Even if she isn't directly charged, shared finances with her husband mean that Sunny could face severe monetary fallout. Bankruptcy has become a serious topic of discussion among viewers and commentators alike. For someone who has built a reputation on success and social commentary, the idea of public financial collapse is particularly ironic. Rogan suggested this would be poetic justice, an elite media personality suddenly experiencing the same financial pain many Americans endure.
The View co-host Sunny Hostin's husband, Emmanuel Hostin, has been accused of federal insurance fraud. According to a new lawsuit obtained by Page Six, the orthopedic surgeon was one of 200 defendants named in one of the biggest racketeer influence and corrupt organization cases ever filed in New York. Emmanuel was accused of federal insurance fraud and, quote, getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft drivers. According to the documents, he knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgery.
Federal investigators are reportedly digging deep into Emmanuel Hostin's business records. He's alleged to have been part of a coordinated effort involving fraudulent insurance claims and illegal medical billing practices. These aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a system-wide scheme that authorities believe stole hundreds of millions from insurers and possibly taxpayers. As details emerge, Hostin's reputation as a respected surgeon is being shredded. And because of his high-profile wife, the scandal is getting even more traction. The fact that this involves the RICO Act, a law designed to combat organized crime, only amplifies the seriousness of the allegations. Rogan highlighted this to show how deep the rot might go, even in seemingly respectable circles.
It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies infested hen house.
And at this,
not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen audiences before for TV shows, but a lot of them are paid. They're paid to be there. So, because they have to guarantee that there's going to be people there. So there's services that you hire. And when a show gets really, really popular, you know, like Letterman or something like that, obviously it has its own fan base.
Right.
And those people will try to get tickets before anybody else does. And in that case, they probably don't need to use a service anymore. They just get actual fans. But arguably, like, the fans, the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point, most of those people can't leave the house.
Public reaction to the scandal has been swift and unforgiving. Social media is ablaze with criticism, memes, and outright outrage targeting Sunny Hostin and her husband. Many see this as a classic case of elites being caught in the same behavior they publicly condemn. Rogan's comments added fuel to the fire, and his audience has been especially vocal. Across platforms like X, formerly Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube, users are calling for accountability. The general sentiment? If you're going to preach to others, you better have your own house in order. The backlash reflects a growing distrust in media figures who are perceived as disconnected from the realities they claim to champion.
Orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases. Wow. Hostin's attorney Daniel Twites denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and restrict healthcare benefits. The case involves claims that Hostin performs unnecessary surgeries on patients after minor accidents without exploring less invasive treatments, with American Transit citing New York's 1974 no-fault law as contributing to widespread insurance fraud.
Rogan emphasized how mainstream media tends to protect certain figures while relentlessly targeting others, especially conservatives. He argued that if a right-leaning public figure were involved in a scandal of this scale, the media would have gone nuclear. Instead, there's been a conspicuous lack of coverage on Sunny Hostin's situation from many legacy outlets. Rogan called this out as blatant media bias and challenged audiences to question who decides what becomes national news. His broader point: public trust in journalism continues to erode because the media seems more interested in narratives than facts. That's why independent voices like his continue to grow in influence, because they speak on issues the mainstream avoids.
Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said it's
on television.
Rogan and his guests delved into how certain media personalities display an elitist attitude toward average Americans. Sunny Hostin often uses language that implies she knows better than her viewers, especially on social and political topics. But this scandal undermines that image completely. Rogan argued that these figures live in bubbles, insulated by wealth and media privilege, and believe they're untouchable. When reality crashes in, as it has with this lawsuit, their arrogance is exposed. The contrast between what they preach and how they live becomes stark, and audiences notice. This elitism, Rogan claimed, is one of the reasons more people are tuning out traditional media and tuning in to alternative platforms.
Tom, what'd you always say? It's always the people that always do the pointing, and it always comes back to them, all right? So when you said this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York, you guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia case. Like, the mafia one was number one. This one takes it over. So he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange.
One of the key themes Rogan returned to is the importance of free speech and holding everyone to the same standards. He criticized how figures like Sunny often try to shut down dissenting voices or label them as problematic. But when they themselves become the center of controversy, they expect silence or sympathy. Rogan argued that this double standard is dangerous, not just for media integrity, but for public discourse. He insists that accountability must be universal. Whether you're a conservative, liberal, or independent thinker, your actions should be scrutinized equally. That's the only way to ensure fairness and maintain a culture where truth matters more than affiliations or ideology.
If you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin.
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it and it's nothing.
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there. Sometimes comics do that.
Yeah, and
for
then
fun.
the other question is then, is that representative of a big constituency? I think probably yes.
Well, a lot of
MSNBC
people.
viewers are probably also thinking,
I don't
we
even
gotta-
think the MSNBC viewers. I think
that's
they're a
too
little
far.
bit more sophisticated than that.
Yeah.
This is like low information, blue no matter who, like older housewives who are mad at the world. That's the appeal that Whoopi Goldberg has.
As this scandal plays out, it's also becoming a defining moment for alternative media. Joe Rogan represents a growing wave of independent voices who challenge legacy outlets and mainstream narratives. The success of his show lies in its raw honesty and unfiltered approach, qualities missing from shows like The View. With every scandal that involves a high-profile figure like Sunny Hostin, Rogan's credibility grows among viewers looking for real talk. It's not just about gossip, it's about transparency, truth, and trust. And as more people turn away from traditional media, creators like Rogan are becoming the new gatekeepers of public accountability. The message is clear: the era of untouchable elites is over.